A chief U.S. admiral has come out and has leaked a massive secret. All right, this is a person that has seen the intelligence, seen what's behind the scenes. All right, he can see all the movements, and he is very worried, very concerned right now. And he came out, he was giving a speech at the Atlantic Council, and what he said is honestly preparation for World War III. And he said, we have not much time left at all. He said, this will happen in 2022. He said, the big one is happening in 2022. Big things are happening. All right, so we are going to see another war happen, an escalation. And when is it going to be called World War III officially? When is it going to be called that? I want to know, when are the history books going to write it in the future as this was the date, World War III started on this day. I want to know when this time period is, because it really feels like we are in the middle of it right now. All right, so this U.S. Chief of Naval Operations, Admiral Michael Gilday, gave a major warning this week. All right, he was giving a speech to the Atlantic Council, and he was saying that 2022 will be the year that another massive war will start. All right, so he was talking about China, okay, and we've heard Biden come out saying he will defend China any means necessary. Just a few weeks ago, he came out and he said that at the UN, he said that he will defend Taiwan. The U.S. military will defend Taiwan. And he's not even saying it like we will send weapons like we are doing with Ukraine. He is saying the United States military will defend Taiwan with their active personnel, with their force, right? That's what he's warning. So this is what this admiral was also saying too, because this is key. That, and Biden, I believe he said this 4 times over the past year. He's not just saying this on accident, right? This isn't an accident. This isn't a slip up. He said this at the UN again a few weeks ago. All right, and he was saying we will defend Taiwan. The United States will defend Taiwan with any means necessary, with the U.S. military. All right, so let's get into what this U.S. Chief of Naval Operations Admiral Michael Gilday said. All right, this is a top leader in our U.S. military, top leader in the Navy, and this is what he said. He said, what we've seen over the past 20 years is that they have delivered on every promise that they have made earlier than they said they were going to deliver on it. All right, and he's talking about China right now. So he's saying over the past 20 years, China says they'll do something, and they always deliver on it earlier than they say. So China's been threatening constantly lately that they will invade Taiwan. GC came out, said that a unification is going to happen with Taiwan, and they will use force to unify Taiwan with China once again. All right, and he's saying that China always does things earlier than when they say they're going to do it. All right, and there's more though. There's more coming. He gives specific dates that are very sketchy. All right, so he also says, so when we talk about the 2027 window, in my mind, that has to be a 2022 window or potentially a 2023 window. All right, he says, in my mind, that has to be a 2022 window. All right, that's a big deal that a U.S. Naval Admiral is coming out, Chief Admiral is coming out and saying this, that the window for China to invade Taiwan is now 2022. Right? Very serious that he's coming out and saying this. He's somebody that's seen the intelligence, he's seen the wires, he's seen it all behind the scenes, he's seen the movements, he's seen the buildups of China's military, China's arms, China's equipment, and he sees that this is a real threat. All right, just to get into the numbers, I believe China has around 2 million active military, or military forces, not active, and the U.S. has around 1.4 million. All right, so kind of a big difference. if we went to war with China, would we see a draft to measure, to keep up this equivalence? All right. Because if there is a war in Taiwan, how is the US and NATO going to justify and pay for having a war on two different fronts where it is a country that's being invaded, right? And they are paying for their defenses. How long can this happen? How long can NATO, how long can the United States pay for two different countries, two different fronts in Asia and Europe going to war at the same exact time? And is this the plan? Is this the plan to drain the US and NATO completely dry? Drain us dry of our energy, of our resources, of our supply chains, and then a giant war directly happens with the US, all right? We have these proxy wars going on. What if we have two different proxy wars going on that eventually just deplete the US, and then China and Russia and Iran, Saudi Arabia, these countries, the alliances are being built right now. What if these countries team up and try to attack NATO countries directly or attack the United States directly, especially China, if we are in a direct conflict with China, which Joe Biden keeps saying, we will defend Taiwan. And Xi keeps saying that they will make Taiwan a part of China, all right? It's almost a little bit similar to Ukraine. It's this region that they believe is part of their country, right? And they believe they're justified in taking it back, right? That's their justification. That's what they're saying. That's their justification for the invasion, because, you know, it's not like they were hit first or whatever, something major happened first. They are just saying that this is part of their territory and they want it back, all right? So, and there's also analysis saying that, you know, Chinese soldiers haven't been in major wars. So that could be an issue too for China. And people were saying that they could potentially be using Taiwan as a practice round before they go up against the United States military to get some, you know, to just use their equipment and live battle, right? Get people used to actually being in a war, get your soldiers used to it, and then they're ready to take on the US, right? So this is a big threat. We are seeing World War III develop on every side, right? And the major difference here is that China wasn't really a player before in World War II, all right? China was not militarized. They did not have the same economy they have right now. Now their economy is the second biggest or first biggest. It's whatever. There's different numbers, but it's up there. It's in the top 2 economies in the world, right? So they have a lot of power for their military, a lot of economic power. They can fund a lot of military budgets. They definitely have the second biggest military budget in the world after the United States, right? So let me know what you guys think. This Chief U.S. Admiral is saying that 2022 is going to happen, and Biden is saying that we will defend Taiwan, right? And think about these sanctions that were just put on China as well for the chips and everything, right? There was a massive chip sanction put on, and essentially all the American chip manufacturers and workers had to leave China, right? Because it's like a national security sanction deal. So they had to essentially get out or lose their citizenship for America. So it was a very tough decision for a lot of people, and most people just left. So let me know what you think. This war is escalating. We are already in another war with China as well. And let's hope we don't get dragged into this, all right? I know there's things going on all around the world, but at the same time, it's like we can't just be sticking our hand in everything, sticking our nose in everything, all right? We really can't just be dragging ourselves into conflicts, you know? It's you know, it's like if a neighbor's fighting or something, or people are just, you know, having a skirmish, an argument, it's like, what are you supposed to do? Are you supposed to go over there and just break it up and be this big negotiator, or do you just like leave people alone? Right? I'm not saying it's anything crazy, but just an argument, a skirmish. This is a local, regional thing, regional battle, right? This is a historical thing too. They say like historically these are part of our countries, yada yada, you know what I mean? Why do we have to get involved in this? We are on the other side of the world. It's like if, if somebody's miles away from you, having a skirmish, and when you're worried about it, you want to go get involved, you want to get in the middle of it and risk yourself, risk your assets, it's just not worth it. It doesn't feel worth it. It seems like that's been all of our wars the past few decades. They've been very, why are we here? A lot of people always asking this question, why are we here? Why are we shedding our American soldiers' blood in these regions, in these areas, and shedding our treasure, shedding our money, just wasting it all to kill other people, have war with other people? It doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem like what we should be doing. I'm not saying I agree with what China's doing or Russia's doing either, right? I'm not saying I agree, but I don't want to perpetuate war either, drag the United States into a massive war with Russia and China. That does not sound like fun to me. All right, so I know I'm rambling here at the end. Let me know what you guys think. All right, this is huge, a huge development that this admiral is saying 2022 is the time, right? So get prepared now, guys. Get your stuff now, because China could just cut off the supply chain. China could make a decision like, we can't send any more goods over to the United States right now because we are in a war. We need all of our critical supplies here in China in case we can't make these supplies anymore, in case we can't get them, in case we can't outsource them or whatever, all right? So this could happen. This is something that could happen overnight. China could make a decision overnight, and China could say, we are no longer exporting. The United States could get dragged into a war overnight. This is what happened in Russia, right? It just happened overnight. One day there was just tanks rolling into the streets, all right? It could happen. So get prepared, guys, and don't stop, all right? The major leaders are coming out and giving these warnings. It's not like we don't need to be scared, but we need to be prepared, because something big could happen. Most people will survive. It's just what comes next after we survive. We're going to live in a chaotic situation. We're going to live in a dystopia, potentially. So we have to be prepared for that. How do you feed yourself, survive, protect your family in that situation? That's the point, is just to be prepared in case things do fall apart. All right, so thank you guys for watching, and you guys have a blessed day.